Hey guys, Julian here, and today I want to talk about the pattern of shutting down. And maybe this is something you see in yourself. It can look like suppressing emotions, or bottling things up, or even going emotionally numb. Maybe you see this most in your relationships. Maybe you suppress your emotions until they can't be suppressed anymore, and then they come out explosively. So, today we're going to talk about where this pattern comes from, why it's here, and what we can do differently to live with more presence and authentic expression. So, let's start with where does the pattern of shutting down come from? Shutting down is a fundamental defense mechanism. It's present inside of every single one of us, although it's more pronounced in others. Basically, this comes out when we don't have the capacity to navigate the thing that's happening. In other words, life gets too overwhelming, especially when we don't have support, guidance, or safety to navigate the things that are happening in life. So, when life gets too overwhelming and we can't navigate it, we shut down. We go away mentally. We check out, we shut down and shell up. Now, shutting down can become a chronic and habitual pattern. When we are in the pattern of shutting down, our ability to function is drastically reduced as we are just surviving the overwhelming circumstance. And once the overwhelming situation has passed, we can come out of that defense mechanism and begin navigating life again. But if this defense becomes chronic, meaning that it's happening habitually, it becomes an adaptation to navigate life. Over time, we'll stop shutting down just with the overwhelming situations, and we'll begin shutting down whenever something reminds us of those overwhelming situations. Over time, we'll become much quicker at shutting down and we'll go on to an autopilot, so to speak, most of the times without even realizing it. So when we start chronically shutting down, we're no longer actively participating in our own lives. We aren't really present. We aren't making conscious choices. We're reacting automatically again on autopilot. And over time, we'll develop a belief that life is happening to us rather than it being something that we can actively live. Here we fall into habitual ways of thinking, acting, adapting, and surviving. And when life starts to call us towards some change or some growth, we can't hear it because we've gone numb to it. And in fact, most of the times we'll see that as a threat. And so we want to start to wake up to this trance of shutting down. Life requires attunement, life requires presence, and shutting down disconnects us from both of those. And so, in order to start to change our dynamic of shutting down, the first thing that we have to do is recognize this dynamic and, of course, accept that it's here. If we deny it, we can't work with it. Next, we have to understand why shutting down is here. Shutting down is a form of self-preservation, but it's a preservation like wearing a cast on a broken bone. At first, it helps, but if you don't remove the cast when the bone is healing, it becomes the source of great pain later on. So we have to ask ourselves, do we want the pain of learning how to navigate life, learning how to participate in it, so we can make choices and actively direct ourselves towards the type of people that we want to be, to live the life that we really want to live? Or do we want the pain of the exact same circumstance? Both of them are painful. We got to choose which one of those we want. One of those circumstances is always painful. The other doesn't have to be. And so we might wake up from this autopilot and say, oh my gosh, 15 years has gone by and I haven't spoken to my son. And here the mind easily moves into blame, hopelessness, avoidance, and even victimhood. Avoidance can become a way of protecting ourselves from the pain, the grief, the guilt, or the responsibility of what happened while we were shut down. But you can make a choice. You can say, I'm going to take responsibility and accountability for this, even if it hurts. Even if my son, in this case, doesn't want to talk to me and hates me forever, I'm going to do everything I can to change this dynamic. I'm going to do everything I can to show up and be the person that I wanted to be, that I fell short of becoming. I'm going to do my best to show up and try and change this dynamic. The situation might hurt, but it might not. Comparatively, shutting down and avoiding the pain, that pain will always be there because it remains unresolved. We all have the capacity to choose who we become and how we face life. We can't stop the pains of life, but we can choose how we navigate it.